Now today I'm going to be addressing something that I've seen floating around for a couple years now. A lot of people say that since the time skip, One Piece has declined, One Piece hasn't lived up to the hype that it was supposed to be with the time skip, and overall that they feel as though One Piece has been on a downward spiral regarding just everything, even enjoyment. And I wanted to address this because I definitely disagree. Since the time skip, we've had the mini arc Return to Shibundi, we've had Fishman Island, we've had Punk Hazard, and then we had the Green Bit Dressrosa stuff. So we've had quite a bit of arcs now since the time skip, so we can really go through and look at what has happened. With the mini arc Shibundi, it was freaking epic as hell. We've seen they come back this time, they blowing out the pacifistas, they definitely increased their strength. So automatically that arc right there, not only enjoyable, it just really showed progression already of the characters' strength. So I definitely say that mini arc, the little small Return to Shibundi, was freaking awesome. It even had jokes in there, it had everything that you want from a One Piece arc. You go to Fishman Island, and I will say that Fishman Island, that was the one arc out of all the arcs that, we've had since time skip that I wasn't too fond of. I felt as though main villain, Horty Jones, while what he did was, like, disgusting, and he was like, yeah, he's a vile person, he's a good villain as far as, like, he has this hatred, but as far as his capabilities to do anything was very lackluster. And the same thing, you have Vanderdecken as well, he really couldn't do much either. So it was, like, good setup and an interesting place, interesting setting, but the villains of the particular arc was just really bad. They just, like, Horty Jones in particular, he just was a punching bag for Luffy for the most part. And I guess they were meant to really show the progression of the Straw Hats and how strong they became because, you got Zoro one hitting him, one slash underwater before he took the pills, and then Luffy just fucking beats the living shit out of him, and Vanderdecken wasn't all that much either. So, Fishman Island, I will say that while it had some good qualities to it for the most part, I will say that that was the one arc out of what we had so far that I wasn't fond of, and I felt like definitely could have been a lot better with the villains especially. But from there on out, from when we actually reached New World, I feel as though it's been pretty much gravy. Like, Punk Hazard, it had, a Caesar Clown, it had Doflamingo at the end, and it did what a lot of the One Piece arcs have done in the past as well. It was like, it had your main arc, and then at the end, shit just gets explosive, and that's how One Piece usually does it. Same thing with the latest arc, the Dressrosa Green Bit stuff. The tournament was slow at the beginning, and little by little, it's getting real epic, and this is probably where we're at right now with the Dressrosa Green Bit stuff, the best that we've had thus far within the time skip. So, people forget, and I think that's one of the main things. People forget what One Piece was before the Whitebeard War. I think people, once they reached the Whitebeard War, they felt like, okay, this is, times 10 the greatest thing we've ever had from One Piece. And I think people just, they want that same feeling, and they want that same epicness of what we had with the Whitebeard War, and they forget what One Piece was prior to that. They forget what One Piece was in the beginning, even before Arlong Park, having these small adventures, and you get into a fight with the villains, and then you keep on going. And that's where I think the misconception is, where people look at One Piece like, oh, it's going downhill. It's like, they forget we didn't always have just constantly uphill, more epic, more epic. A lot of times it's just the journey and having these interesting and enjoyable arcs, like Thriller Bark, up until the ending with the whole Zoro thing and, the fight with Gecko Moria. A lot of people say, well, that's not the greatest arc, that's, one of my least favorite arcs, and that's because it was just really the journey and the enjoyable aspects of it, the laughs, the craziness, the zaniness of it, and, same thing with Skypiea. And these are arcs, again, because personally, I love Skypiea. Thriller Bark is not my favorite, but I also enjoy Thriller Bark as well. But these are the arcs that people don't even like. And people forget that these arcs even exist. They go into New World and they just want everything to be Whitebeard War, Whitebeard War, Whitebeard War. And I love Whitebeard War. It's probably one of my all-time favorite shonen arcs ever. But they forget that that's not what One Piece is all about. One Piece is a lot more. It would almost feel superficial to say that that's all that One Piece has to offer, just these grand, upscale battles and all this craziness, because yes, it does have those elements, and Oda will give them to you, whether it be at the end of the arc, halfway through the arc, or in between the arc, around the arc. He will give you that, but One Piece is also about the journey, about the bonding of the characters, the setups for later stuff. There's so much more to One Piece than Whitebeard War. And I think that that's where people look at it like, man, we haven't had those deaths since Whitebeard War. Things haven't been the same since Whitebeard War. And it's not going to be the same because that's not what One Piece is. Whitebeard War was a step along the journey. And while, again, it was an amazing step, that's not what One Piece truly is. So you'll get something like Return of Shibundi, where it has the epicness but also the comedy. You'll get something like Fishman Island, where Oda was really just trying to relay the message of racism and how it's wrong and how a lot of times it's just stupid why people are racist. You get that as well. Then you get the epicness with the end of Punk Hazard, but in between you also get the zaniness and the kind of figuring things out and the foreshadowing for later events. And then you get a Dressrosa, starts off a bit slow, but then it just starts exploding. And that's what One Piece is. One Piece is giving you everything you possibly would want in an arc. The comedy, the sad moments that are going to make you cry, the epic battles. It gives you everything. And Whitebeard War, it gave you mostly just like the tragedy and the epic battles. And that's probably why we loved it, because it was more so of a just straight serious take on One Piece. You know, what One Piece would be like if you took out a lot of those elements. But I personally think, and I could probably speak for a lot of people, that we love all the elements of One Piece, and I don't always want Whitebeard War with every single arc. Now, granted, New World, there are some things, you know, I'm not saying that New World is perfect by far. The people that don't enjoy what One Piece has become right now is that they're still living in Whitebeard War, and they felt as though that was the climax, and since then, we haven't been able to get to that point. And I'd say that if you're not enjoying One Piece now, then you only really enjoyed the Whitebeard War, because we've had many arcs that are just like this, similar to this, and as far as like, you know, you got the comedy, you got everything around it, and that's not all that there is to just One Piece, you know, just battles. There's a lot more to it, and Eiichiro Oda says it himself, you know, he would get absolutely bored if all he had to write is stuff like Whitebeard War, and I think we would all get like, God damn, you know, this is getting repetitive. So for you to say that One Piece has declined in quality since the time skip, is basically you're saying that you don't like some of the other arcs in One Piece in the earlier times, even before Arlong Park, after Arlong Park, before Alabasta, you know, because a lot of those arcs, I could honestly say that some of the arcs in New World have bested out many of the arcs from the beginning of One Piece. It's been One Piece. Yeah, it probably feels a little bit more epic because the stakes are a lot higher now. We've gotten a lot bigger since then. We're not just no-name pirates. We're on a grander scale. But I'd say, honestly, I think One Piece, especially where we're at right now, it is One Piece. It's always been One Piece, and it'll always be like this. It's not going to be always epic. You're going to get your comedy. But let me know what you think. If you're one of those people that you think that One Piece has been absolutely in a decline since the time skip, tell me why you think so. What is it about One Piece now that you feel has just absolutely been lackluster? I'm speaking specifically for the manga, the events in the manga. I'm not speaking of the anime. If you guys want, I'll do a video regarding the anime at a later time. But as right now, I'm just mainly speaking of the events in the manga and what's happened since the time skip and before the time skip. But that's all I have for this one. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Thumbs up if you love One Piece all the way around for everything that it has to offer. Not only the fights, because while I love some of the fights in One Piece, I love everything that One Piece has to offer, the comedy, everything about it. I'm ForneverWorld, and as always, people, have an awesome day.